What's your emergency?
Welcome back to That Weewoo Show, a podcast where we watch and discuss episodes of the ABC show 911. I'm Bex.
I'm Alice.
And I'm Ellen.
Big thanks to everyone who has listened to our episodes so far and rated and reviewed us and shared our social media posts and done pretty much everything they could to spread the word about our little podcast. We appreciate you. A special shout out this week to Lucia from the Totally Normal About That podcast, who, in response to our episode on Chimney Begins a few weeks ago, gave us a lesson on the history of 9/11 monuments around the country and around the world too, I think. So if you too had questions about how a big chunk of the World Trade Center ended up in Los Angeles, I would highly recommend heading to our Twitter page, where we have retweeted Lucia's thread.
I saw that. Thank you, Lizzie. That was great.
Thanks, Lucia. Yeah.
We really do appreciate it when our American listeners sort of chime in and answer our questions about all the American stuff that we just have no idea about. So if you ever hear us go, if you're a resident of Los Angeles or if you live in America, please, and you know the answer to our question or have some information that can help us figure out what is going on the screen, please reach out to us. There are so many different ways that you can get in touch with us, and we do love to hear from you.
I just envision listeners listening to us make up some theory on why something is the way it is and just shaking their heads and going, you guys, no.
They're listening to me scream about something and they're screaming at their phone going, but that's not it.
Yeah. Yes, please educate us. We'd love to be...
Yes.
I had a full conversation with some Americans during the week about the time zones because I was like, I don't understand your time zones. And they're like, here, let us educate you. And I'm like, thank you.
Alternatively, if you want to know anything about Australian stuff, then hit us up. We'll let you know.
Yeah, did you know that kangaroos can't walk or jump backwards?
Well, they got a tail in the way.
It's the way that their legs go, but sure.
We need to get some kind of Australian crossover on the show so that we can suddenly know stuff.
Also, echidnas and platypus lay eggs but also produce milk.
Either that or we all just need to go on a road trip to LA so we can, do some research.
I think so. Do you reckon we can write that off as a tax break?
No, because we don't actually make any money out of this.
Oh, yeah, damn.
So if we suddenly start launching a Patreon, you know why.
It's just so we can go to Disneyland. I mean,
yeah.
It's research, guys.
Research, yeah, that's right. Anyway, what happened last week on 911?
So last week on 911, we wrapped up the Doug arc after he stabbed Chimney and kidnapped Maddie. After the longest 2-hour drive ever, a showdown between Maddie and Doug ended with Doug dead and Maddie safe and sound with Buck.
Yay, that's right.
Yay.
It was a bit of a heavy one last week, but they all ended up alive, which is always a good thing.
And Maddie and Chimney had their first kiss.
Oh, they did too.
Aww. Well, this week things are slightly lighter. Still, this episode is quite frantic. A lot of stuff happens in it, but it's not quite so heavy subject material. So this is episode 14 of season 2, which is called Broken. It first aired on the 15th of April in 2019. The official summary just says when Metro LA's 911 system is hit with a massive system-wide power outage, the call centre must go old school in responding to emergencies. The first responders must deal with explosions in multiple homes and difficult childbirth. Meanwhile, Michael confronts Bobby about parenting his kids. So our triggers for this episode, in case you want a heads up on what's coming, we have children at threat, a gas leak and an explosion, house fires, a woman has complications with her labour and delivery and childbirth, and the death of a patient as well.
Technically.
Temporarily.
Yeah, Temporary
major character death, yes. Minor character death. Temporary.
Yeah.
Yes. So this episode was written by Juan Carlos Cotto, who previously wrote Dosed, and I like this guy's style.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
He does the ensemble well.
Yes.
He like, has the tension but also the humour, which we all love in 911.
Yes.
Yeah, it's possibly not, like, I'm trying to remember what Dosed was like. We had the funny parts of it, but we also had, like, really serious kind of...
Yeah, like
we
Bobby
had...
tried to jump
well.
off the roof,
Yeah.
but also we had Eddie crying because he was getting arrested.
Yes.
That's right.
We're everywhere, man.
Well, we're starting out in, utopic suburbia. Birds are chirping. We have a car pulls into like a cul-de-sac type situation where there's a house. They're pulling a trailer that's got like all their stuff in it, basically.
Can we talk quickly? I know we've just started the episode, but
And we're already with tangenting.
Tangent already.
already we're tangenting.
Yeah.
American houses are fucking huge.
Yes, they are.
They are
Like,
huge.
this is literally a family of 3. So we've got a dad and 2 kids, and the house is absolutely massive. Like, it's 2-story and it's huge.
To be fair, when they purchased the house, that was a family of 4.
Yeah, true. But, like, yeah, it's huge.
But yes, their houses are disproportionately large.
Like, I feel like all the houses in Australia now are just units, and they're just like, yeah, your family of 8 have to fit in 3 bedrooms. Good luck. And we're like, okay, cool, thanks. Sorry.
Yeah, maybe it's just the bits of Melbourne that you're used to, but the houses around the newer estates on the outside of Brisbane, at least, they're all quite large, but they're very close together. So I don't know. This could be an older suburb in LA. Who knows? I don't think that. I think LA, the real estate market probably is suffering from what the rest of the world is, and is massively inflated. So maybe nowadays a 3-person family wouldn't be able, like a single dad wouldn't be able to afford a house that size in LA.
It does look quite out from the suburbs too. So it must be, I would say, possibly a newer estate.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot more room for growth in that
Yeah,
area.
like, a house that size in, like, Melbourne would easily be, like, $2-3 million.
Yeah.
Like, even in the, like, outskirts.
Anyway, maybe this dad is like, rich. I don't know. Who knows?
No, I think
yeah,
houses
he
are- 'cause,
invested
like,
well in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Now he's loaded.
Maybe he's got some cash for buying houses. Who knows? But anyway, apparently they have their entire belongings in a small kind of trailer, and
all their open boxes.
Yes, who the hell packs a U-Haul by, I'm going to put all my belongings not wrapped. I'm literally just going to put all of my belongings in a box, and then I'm not even going to seal the box or put any kind of paper in it. I'm just going to place the box into the trailer.
yeah, and it's not.
Who moves like that?
It's not that full either. Like, where have they moved from? A shoebox? Like,
Yeah,
there's hardly
literally, right?
anything. Anyway,
As someone who
that's
just
all of
moved yesterday, I did have three boxes that weren't, like, taped at the top, but they were the ones that were in my car. And, like, I was unpacking the second I got back.
I mean, I can only assume that there must be a truck coming.
Yeah,
right.
we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say that there has to be a truck coming. Yeah, that this is like the things that they needed desperately for that first day, and the rest of their furniture and shit is coming in the next couple of days.
Because, I mean, you can't fit a bed in that thing. And there are
God,
3 of them.
no.
So,
Yes.
anyway, let's give them...
Back on track.
It's going to be a long episode, I can tell.
We're so sorry,
I'm just so
everyone.
excited that, like, it's just real life. Like, I just moved yesterday. These people are moving. It's so exciting.
I hope your
Like, oh
new
my
house
God.
didn't blow up, though.
They have boxes. I have boxes. So relatable, you guys. So relatable. Yeah, so we get a exposition shot where Dad takes an unwrapped photo out of an open box, and we see that it used to be a family of 4, but Mum has died. She's wearing a, like, bandana on her head, so it looks like she had cancer. They do mention later that she was in remission when they bought the house.
Yeah.
So clearly, like, she's passed pretty quickly, because it was Mum's dream house.
Yeah. The son, the young boy, Alex, has raced into the house to investigate his bedroom. And this is important because while he is inside the house and his father and his older sister are having like touching moments out in the street, a big flame starts shooting up randomly in the background.
There's like an explosion behind them in the street.
Yeah, it comes out of nowhere, and then another house explodes, and then a car comes screaming into the cul-de-sac and smacks into the fire hydrant, sending water going everywhere. And then Mum's dream house, the bottom floor, just explodes. And everything's exploding. There's fire everywhere. And the dad is obviously panicking because his son is in the upstairs of this exploding house, but he keeps his cool a little bit. He pulls out his phone. He calls 911, and if this was a normal episode, you would expect that we would cut to that little squiggly line on the back screen and we'd be hearing the 911 dispatcher. Instead, we get that weird 3-tone that tells you that the call has not been connected, and he gets a recording that says, "You have reached a number that is not in service. If you feel you've reached this message in error, please check the number and try again." And the dad goes, "Check the number. It's 911.
Yeah, like
how do I get that number wrong?"
3 numbers. So 911 have forgotten to pay their phone bill. But yeah, how terrifying would this actually be, though?
Yeah.
You call 911 and 911's not there. Fucking
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, or 000 in our case. Yeah, and they're just like, no.
Computer said no.
Yeah.
You will not be getting help.
Yep.
Because, yeah, you know, you're told from when you're a young child, if you're in danger, call, in our case, 000, in their case, 911. Yeah, but yeah, so that'd be terrifying. So then we go to our title card, and we get a caption, which is 5 hours earlier. So we're doing typical 911 timey-wimey
But at
stuff.
least they're telling us this
But
time.
yeah, we're actually getting like a caption. Clearly someone else has
I
been like,
think
what fucking time is
The
it?
the timeline actually makes sense in this episode.
It does, yeah.
So of
it's
all
really
of the
well
things
paced.
in this episode, they get the time right. Everything else is like completely fucked up, but the time works.
Yeah, they don't jump around too much. It's just
No.
Well, they jump around between locations, I guess, but the time
But
is
not within time.
Yeah, time is right. Is linear.
Yes.
So Buck and Maddie are meeting up at the same time as Hen and Jim. So, but they're having
Jim?
a similar conversation. So they switch back and forth, which I don't.
I love the conversation with Maddie and Buck. I love it so
Yeah,
much.
I do too.
So Buck's like showing Maddie pictures of apartments. And he's like, oh yeah, like this one, blah, blah, blah. And Maddie's like, yeah, nice. You should totally rent that apartment.
Yeah.
And Buck's like, me, why would I? And Maddie's like, because I have my own apartment. You sleep in my dining room.
It's like, why the hell do you think, Buck?
Like, Buck, you have no house.
You're couch surfing,
Like,
remember? You have no house.
as in he's like, oh, you don't think it's weird? And Maddie goes, yes, that's why you should get your own place. Like, get out of my dining room. But they're actually talking about the fact that Maddie was kidnapped and Chim was stabbed from Maddie's apartment.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, it's also weird that Buck lives in Maddie's dining room and is trying to find an apartment for them. And Maddie's like, get the fuck out of my house.
Maddie acknowledges that it's a little bit weird. She says it's a little bit weird to go back to my apartment, but I'm not going to force myself out of it because... And then Chim picks up the thread of her sentence and says, I got stabbed.
They're
and it
finishing
sucked.
each other's sentences already.
Even when they're not in the same room.
It's so cute, but at the same time, I find it really annoying when they do this and like cut back and forth when they're having this same conversation. I don't know why.
See, I love this. I was actually thinking after I've just finished watching the opening 3-season arc of season 8, and I was thinking to myself that I missed episodes like Stuck, where they had this cutting back and forth between the ensemble.
Right.
And then watch this episode and goes, yes, this is what I missed.
That's
Oh.
it. Like,
I like this.
there's stuff from the earlier seasons that I definitely miss. But God, season 8 started so well. Like,
But we're not talking about that.
we're not
gonna
talking
talk
about that right now.
season 2.
We're talking about Chim, who is quoting movies again.
Yes, he's sitting on the couch folding his clothes, very particularly while Hen is watching on.
He says he got stabbed and it totally sucked. But then I remembered something a wise man once said. Life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it. Apparently this is from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I didn't know that.
Oh, you haven't
until
watched
Hen
it?
says, the wise men of history, Aristotle, Solomon, Bueller.
So Chim tells Hen not to mock him.
And Ferris Bueller only had 1 day off.
He's got weeks of free time and he's determined to make the most of them. Last time he almost died, like when he got the rebar through his head, he didn't have to have any fun at all. And Hen asks him, oh, is that why you're turning all of your clothes into index cards?
Not all of them.
This is so funny because he's doing this Marie Kondo thing, which is like was at the height of its popularity
its
in
time,
2019. Yeah. And the thing that I like, this is when you think about if something sparks joy and you get rid of it. If it doesn't. Yes. But the thing that I find really funny with this now is that Marie Kondo then went on and had kids in like during 2020 or 2021. And then she acknowledged publicly that her system didn't work that well when you have children. And I'm like, thank you. That's what we've been thinking for some time.
The best part is, like, she got really popular. Like, it's funny watching this in hindsight because she got really popular just before COVID.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, COVID happened, so everyone was like, yeah, we're going to clear out all our shit. And then it was like, now we have no shit and we're bored because lockdown
we've got
took a lot longer than we expected.
We have a clean house, though.
But yeah, so Chim's, like, holding up this, like, shirt to himself, and Hen's like, what are you doing? And Chim says he's trying to determine if the shirt sparks joy, and I did, and it doesn't. So now I thank the shirt, thank you, and he puts it aside onto a pile rather than folding it. And Hen's just like, you need therapy.
It's true, he does.
But then they cut back to the diner and Maddie picks up the conversation and says that, yes, I will still see my therapist. She will still go to her support group, but she has to start putting her life back together. So it sounds like she is trying to move forward. She must be about to head back to 911 dispatch, whereas Buck is a little bit worried that she's moving too fast.
Mm-hmm.
But Maddie's idea is that once her life is back to normal, she will start to feel normal again.
That's a good theory.
Hen is kind of thinking that's bullshit as well, because she tells Chimney that you both almost died, and now you're just going to prance over to her place and pick her up for dinner like it never happened. Like they're just going on with their lives. But I do like Chim's response. He's like, no, I'm not going to prance over to her place and pick her up. Maddie is coming over here to pick me up because she is a modern woman.
And also
I'm pretty sure they couldn't get the bloodstains off the brick. And I don't want to go back there.
And then oh my god, I love this so much. So then Hen goes, so I guess Maddie still sparks joy? And Chim goes, always. Aww. I love Madney so much. Like, so much.
They're adorable.
But
like, obviously Buddy is my number one, but Madney is very, very closely behind. I love them so much.
They are so cute. So we're setting up that they are going to go on their second first date, trying to finish the date that they never got to before Doug interfered.
Mm-hmm. All right, so later.
Now
we're going to the firehouse, and it's a few hours later. They're on shift. Eddie and Buck are there in all their gear, and Bobby is giving a speech about all you need is 3 numbers. Can you tell me what they are? And then there's all these kids there, and they all say 911. And he gives them a little spiel about how, you ring the number and then they automatically find where the nearest fire station is and dispatching what you need. It's a very sophisticated system.
It's very cute because apparently it's Harry's class.
Yeah.
And he is fully participating in
he's
this
being
little
a little
presentation because when Bobby asks what happens when you call 911. Harry's hand immediately shoots up and they go and they call a fire truck. Bobby continues to involve Harry in the presentation. He says, all right, let's say, Harry, you call in an emergency. Can you name one? Harry said, the library sets on fire and it burns all our homework.
Not the homework.
So Bobby goes through, okay, so this is what's going to happen. We're going to call 911. Dispatch is going to type in the address of Meadowbrook School. They're going to find the nearest station. And then the alarm starts to ring in the station house, and we get one of the randos from the 118 slides down the pole.
I know, they gave an extra something to do. I was so excited. I was like, oh, look, someone got to touch the pole.
And then hands up in the kitchen with a megaphone going, Station 118, Station 118, please dispatch an engine and an ambulance to Meadowbrook School Library. Harry Grant didn't do his homework. And what I love at the background, in the back of the station, you've got Michael, who has obviously accompanied the class to the station as parent help. But Athena has dropped by as well, and they're listening to this.
Yeah.
And Athena sort of makes a comment to Michael about, oh, so much for playing it cool. And Michael's like, what are you talking about? And Athena said, oh, Harry, he didn't want the other kids thinking he had the inside track just because he knew the captain. And Michael scoffs and goes, oh, that went out the window as soon as he went through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden he knew more than anybody else did, so he was going to let everyone know that.
Yes. So after the speech, Bobby releases the children to Buck and Eddie's care to clamber all over the engines. And Buck is literally bouncing.
Oh my god,
as
Buck
he
is
collects
such a
his
puppy.
kids
He's
and takes
so
them
cute.
over
He's
to
like,
a truck.
kids, let's go. It's like, Buck, calm down. he's actually a puppy.
Kids,
I love him
and he's
so much.
good with them.
It's so funny, like, when you watch, like, Oliver and then watch Buck.
Oh, they're
so
completely different people.
Like, Oliver's just like, I fucking hate everyone, like, everyone can get fucked. And Buck's just like, yay!
Sunshine and lollipops and
It's called
rainbows.
acting, guys. Acting.
He's a method actor, after all. Oh no, that's Bobby who's a method actor.
Yes.
What, are you saying that Peter burnt out an apartment in Minnesota?
Maybe not that far for his craft,
Not that
but, you know. He comes to say hello to Michael and Athena, and he says, he says to Athena, are you on your lunch break, or do you just love TED Talks for 10-year-olds? And Athena's like, tickets are harder to get than Hamilton.
It's like, oh my god, the pop culture references.
They're bringing in all the 2019 things.
They're so heavy in this episode.
This is
Ages this episode so much.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is so 5 years ago.
Like, Hamilton tickets are so easy now, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, they're coming to my city later in the, beginning of next year, I think.
Again? Weren't they already there?
No, they were in
they've
Sydney.
only done Melbourne and Sydney.
Yeah, they were in Sydney.
Oh, there you go.
They haven't been to Brisbane yet.
Are you going to go see it? You should go and see it. If it's the same cast as the first run, they are amazing.
Right.
Is it bad that I still haven't watched it?
It's worth watching. It's on Disney, right? You can I watched it, and I enjoyed it, and I do like the music. It's very cool, but I don't know.
I dare say
the tickets are
if
very
it's still
expensive.
If it's still Jason as Hamilton, he is a better Hamilton than Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, it's not hard, but he is a much better Hamilton.
Okay.
Anyway, so Athena kisses Bobby goodbye, and then we cut to Harry talking to some kid from his class.
We do find out his name is Kyle, so, well, we're assuming that this is Kyle, because it's the only other kid we see Harry interacting with.
Yeah, Harry's only got one friend.
We'll just assume this is Kyle. And Kyle is incredibly impressed that Harry's new dad is the fire captain. And he thinks that's so cool.
Yeah, and Harry calls him pretty badass. But not just with fires and stuff. Like, during the earthquake, he saved, like, hundreds of people. Whereas all Harry did was hand out bottled water.
And unfortunately, Michael walked up behind Harry just as he said this, and he heard it, and he looks absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, we already knew that Michael is slightly insecure about his parenting, so this is really going to hit him hard. We are back at a dispatch headquarters. Maddie is back for her first day of work, and she is handling it like a boss. She has taken multiple calls, and she is knocking them out. She's very calm, she's very professional, she's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And her phone buzzes, and it's a text from Chimney saying, "I hope you're having a great first day back." And as she's typing a response, Josh kind of rolls on his wheelie chair across the floor to her station because he's checking in on her.
He literally just says, "I'm checking in on you."
She's like, "I'm fine. Go away."
Everyone's checking in on her.
Yeah.
Another text comes through from Chimney saying, "We're still on for tonight." And Maddie says, "Yeah, I'm looking forward to it," smiling emoji. And Maddie tells Josh that they're going to finish what they started. Josh's face is like, "Excuse me?" So she clarifies the first date that they never had. And Josh just says, "Well, I hope you've got a good plan for the man that almost died for you." Which, like, really, Josh?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, calm down.
harsh. Like,
Yeah.
But he
No
says
pressure.
he says he will think of some recommendations while he's saving lives, and then just rolls back to his station.
like
I love Josh. He's so
calm your
sassy.
tits.
I love Josh so much.
So Maddie goes back to taking calls, and she is about to dispatch an RA unit to a guy who crashed his truck and broke his ankle somewhere near the PCH when the call drops, and all of a sudden the screens just black out. And then she looks around, and the entire floor, all of their computers are just dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it turns out it is a level 3 outage, Sue tells us later. They have power, but that fancy computer system that Bobby was explaining to the kids is down.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby, for explaining it to the kids so that we also understood what it was. Appreciate it.
It was a really good... It was exposition
subtle,
without
yeah.
being knocked over the head with exposition. Like, it made sense that he would be explaining to the kids, and it's only now that we get into this part of the episode, they're like, oh, they was explaining it to us too.
Yeah, I really like when they do
Very well
exposition
done.
like that, rather than the normal exposition where they're just like, "Oh, we'll just get Buck to explain it."
We're going to
like-
make Buck ask questions to
Buck's
prompt
gonna ask.
somebody else to explain it to us like we're five. No, they
Buck's
did
like,
it
"Oh,
organically.
Hey, Maddie, how do you know what station to send where? Oh, well, we've got this system called CAD.
Well, they don't at the moment. And I think the funny
They
thing is
don't.
that they also said that because the phones run through CAD, they don't have phones. So somebody wheels this trolley out with these old analog phones that they're going to have to plug in to be able to talk to people. And then they also get walkie-talkies so that they can get on the radio with all of the stations.
Yeah. So there must be like a different number.
Yeah, they were gonna, they read it out on the news, you know, when Chim's watching the news and they say 911
Here
is
are the
down.
numbers.
Here's the
Yeah.
alternative number.
I think they must get 911 kind of up and running, but because the phones can't, those phones, it's like if somebody's on that phone, it can't redirect it to another person. So because they do later in the episode, Linda starts taking calls. So you must still be able to call 911. It's hit and miss whether you're actually going to get through to somebody while they're on the old phones.
Yeah, I mean, I assume this is all a protocol for, like, surely they would have a backup system when things actually go wrong, because hopefully it doesn't happen that much, but if it does,
Yeah.
they need to have
there's
this
because the
available.
scene later, the guy calls 911 and it's down, so he calls a different number and gets through. So there must
He
be like a
calls-
local number as well.
I thought he just tried 911 again.
I don't think
that's
so. I
when he
think he
got
tries
Linda.
a different one.
Anyway, so while the dispatch centre is going old school, these stations have all been put on alert and they are going into tactical emergency mode, which means that they're not just going to sit in the station and wait to get dispatched. They're going to be driving around LA to make sure that they're ready for anything that comes their way. And Hen kind of calls Bobby on that because that's the exposition for us, the audience.
I love that she said this.
She says, like, you do realise we work here, right? We're trained professionals, not fifth graders. And then we cut to Josh, who is explaining to the 911 dispatchers about maps, like they are fifth graders.
Yeah.
This is a straight atlas.
Maps on
They're
paper,
maps on
people.
paper. They still make them. Oh, I love it so much. And yeah, we find out that they literally just use bits of paper to write down the emergencies. So normally they put it in a computer system to log it. They literally just have pieces of paper. So if they need fire, they grab a red piece of paper. If they need police, they grab white, and then medical is yellow. They also don't have blinking lights or anything. They have to get cross streets. They have to get landmarks. If you're unfamiliar with where they're calling, look it up.
I mean, I've got to say that Sue and Josh are on this. They are upbeat. They know exactly what's going on. No one looks like they're panicking.
Well, like Sue said, she was a 911 dispatcher back before they had CAD.
Yeah.
So she knows how to do this.
I mean, going back to old ways after you've been using a shiny new system is pretty hard. But
it is.
So I've been in retail, and one of the stores that I worked at used to get power outages all the time, and it was an old company, and so we had the backup. Literally, you'd write an invoice on a piece of paper, and then manually put in the card, and it was a whole thing. But every time we had an outage of any of that type, it was the best day because it was something different. It wasn't just the same thing. It was just oh my god, yes, we get to do something different. And I feel like that's what Josh is like right now. Even though they literally deal with emergencies all day, he's just oh my god, we get to use the maps, we get to use paper, we get to do the things, and oh my god,
We do get a line from Hen though that she's been through 3 outages of 911.
Yeah.
So they must not be completely unfamiliar with the process.
Mm-hmm. That's it. Josh has clearly done it before.
Yes.
As I said, I did it 5 times or something, just in the one store that I was in for 2 years. Because the server went down at one stage, and we were just okay, cool, we're doing it manually. And yeah, so but I was the only one that knew how to do it manually half the time. So I'd be there running the floor, and so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Buck asks Bobby if he'd ever seen it like that before, and Bobby says he's only seen it once, so it hasn't happened recently.
Well, that one, it happened back in St. Paul, Minnesota, because the snow took out the generator, whereas Hen has lived through it in Los Angeles 3 times.
Yeah.
Which she said is because she's surprised that it doesn't happen more often because the whole of LAFD is held together with chewing gum and spit.
And Buck says, come on, I like these old trucks, which is
And there's no, Buck.
Eddie just says he likes them when they run.
Eddie, you've been here for 2 minutes.
Which, it reminded me of when he was yeah, I like this kid. He doesn't like kids, but he likes Chris. He likes
Chris.
He doesn't like trucks except when they run. Eddie's just very negative about everything, clearly.
The general gist of this is that they are still going to be operating. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's going to be chaos. Call out errors, correct mistakes. But Sue says they did it this way for 20 years, and they'll do it again today.
So then, I do love that they're dealing with the chaos. Chim is still in his apartment, Marie Kondoing his clothes, and the breaking news comes in to alert everybody that there is an outage with 911, and Chim just looks annoyed because they've interrupted his show.
Yeah!
With this breaking
Chimney,
news.
you were a first responder. You should came up, but he's just
I mean, how many clothes has he got that Hen's left his place and gone to work? And he's still folding his clothes.
He's still going. I mean, it takes a while if you've got to pick up every pair of underpants and decide whether they spark joy or not.
So.
Every pair of socks.
Again, I just moved yesterday. I haven't even touched my clothes yet. I brought like socks and undies and 2 t-shirts with me, and I'm just like, oh, can I just burn the old house down now?
Oh.
Yes.
Clothes are the worst.
Yes.
So the anchor tells Chimney and all of the viewers that the 911 dispatch are reporting that only 30% of calls are actually going to make it through, so only call 911 if it's a life-threatening emergency. And Chimney just kind of sits back on his couch and goes, okay, this might be a better show than what I was just watching.
They also mentioned that they're monitoring social media and
Oh
urging you to use the hashtag 911LA, which made me laugh a bit, but then we do actually see later in the series that they literally have people monitoring social media. Like, that's the job.
But could you imagine, like, you're getting robbed or something, so you're frantically tweeting at 911?
Like, I love it so much. It's just like, getting robbed, like, peace sign. Hashtag 911LA.
So then we're going to get a little bit of a montage of everyone responding in this new state of affairs, and the music supervisor needs to be taken out back and shot, or given a medal. I'm not sure which, because they decided to use REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It, which, you know, it's fitting. But the first lyric in that song is, that's great, it starts with an earthquake.
Like, are they just
It's
talking about
exactly like season 2. Yes.
They were just waiting for the opportunity to use this song.
They were just like, what do you mean I can't use it for episode 1, 2, or 3 of season 2? Well, that's fine. I'll just sneak it in later.
Definitely going in later.
They reported to the music department that, you know, the first episodes of season 2 is going to be an earthquake, and someone's just gone, yes! REM, here we come!
The only trouble with using this song, it's fine when they're montaging and, like, showing all the trucks driving around and stuff. But because the lyrics are so fast and, like, I guess there's a lot of them in a short time, when they actually start having dialogue again, it's really distracting. Like, it's like Athena is, like, at a crash, but a car crash, but a different team are already there when Bobby and his crew turn up, so they have to leave again. Yeah, you know, there's like chaos going on.
Yeah, like they almost get taken out at an intersection by a different ladder truck. And Bobby's just like, whoa, because they literally almost get hit by it. And then Bobby's just like, hey, like the 122 are already here. And Maddie's like, oh, sorry, I sent the 122. And I'm just like, Maddie knows other, like, she knows other stations besides the 118.
Yeah, the 122 probably reported that they were closer to that area. But that prompts Josh to pull 3 dispatchers off the phones, and they are now responsible for eavesdropping on every other call and making sure that only one call ends up on the board. Because obviously back when they had CAD, you could have 50 people call in about an accident, and they would be the dispatchers would be able to see, yes, we've already had that reported. But when you don't have CAD, you could have 50 different people trying to dispatch units to one incident because you don't realise that it's already been picked up.
Yeah.
So they're trying to cover that off. But while that is happening, 3 people walk onto the call centre floor, and they just... I'm calling them the nerd squad because you look at them and they are this stereotypical nerds. Like, the woman has got, like, the thick glasses, and she's like the school teacher kind of, the sexy school teacher look.
Like, they couldn't get Felicia Day for this role because she was busy, so they're just like, fuck, like, someone else that looks super nerdy.
Yes.
I hate these guys. Just the way they talk, and then... Ugh.
Oh yeah, they're so apparently they are FBI agents who have been sent down to the 911 center in case the power outage is the result of being hacked. Yeah. So one of them is a data breach expert. The woman Nina is a critical infrastructure specialist, and their spokesperson Devon is a specialist in cyber terrorism.
So yeah, apparently in 2016, a single web address went viral on Twitter, and when people clicked on it, their phones started speed dialing 911. There was also an attack in Atlanta the previous year, which was traced back to Russian hackers. And the city spent $2.6 million trying to unlock their systems rather than pay the ransom, which was $50,000.
Yeah, but it was $50,000 in Bitcoin.
Yeah, true.
So Devon and Anders and Nina have been dispatched by the FBI to hope that when they do get the ransom demand from whoever it is hacked the system, they will be ready.
Yeah.
So while the Nerd Squad is working, we're going to move on to a medical emergency. We have... we don't get their names till later, but I'm just going to use their names now because it's going to make it so much easier. We have Roger and Sonia who arrive out of the elevator of their high-rise apartment where Sonia is very clearly in labour. And they are heading to the hospital.
Yeah, and the dad-to-be is doing that stereotypical thing where he's like, is it bad? I hope it's not bad. She's like, it's bad.
She says on a 1 to 10,
it's about a 40. But the thing is, like, she's still walking and talking, which means it's not a 40. Because 10 is supposed to be like, you can't, like, exist with the pain. So, like, calm down, mate.
I mean, it's pretty freaking bad. Like when you...
It is pretty freaking bad. And I will say she's not walking very well. No. She is leaning quite heavily on Roger and she is moaning and groaning and does not look at all comfortable.
And then she, like, as soon as her water breaks, like, she gets a gush of liquid and she basically lies down on the ground. So, you know, it's happening. It's happening.
Which, I mean, come on, guys. I'm sure we've discussed this in the last time we had childbirth on this show, but water breaking does not mean immediate delivery.
No.
There is sometimes quite a gap between your water breaking and, you know, being in active labour and the child crowning. So
I mean, there are no other children around, and so we assume this is her first, in which case it probably is definitely not going to take a few minutes to get to active labour.
Yes.
But
this is TV delivery, which means it's going to happen very, very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, immediately.
Sonia decides, no, my water is broken. I'm going to lay down. I'm going to have this baby right here in the lobby. I'm not even going to try and get in the Uber to get to the hospisphospital, and demands that Roger calls 911. The Uber driver's like,
she ain't getting in my Uber.
Nope. I don't get paid enough to try and get amniotic fluid out of my car seats.
No, it's fine. Uber charge an extra cleaning service. It's all good.
But when Roger calls, he gets the automated "you've reached a number that is not in service" message.
Yep.
And he's like, how is 911 not in service?
But as we mentioned earlier, he either tries again or he somehow manages to call a different number, which I don't know how he would have known because he has obviously not been watching the news. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, somewhat. Maybe someone else suggested to them. Like, do we actually see him speaking to somebody about it?
No.
We just go straight back to
We go
dispatch.
from, how is 911 not in service? And then we cut to Linda taking the call. And actually, we cut to Linda dispatching Engine and Rescue 118 to 550 San Vicente, which if you've been paying attention to the show, you know that is going to be a problem.
Oh, we've had this before?
And she tells...
Yeah, because there are multiple San Vicentes.
Yeah, so in Maddie's very first day, which was during the earthquake episode, she started freaking out because she was trying to dispatch police to Wiltshire and San Vicente and realised that there were two Wiltshire and San Vicentes.
Yes, I do remember that.
So it's a little bit of flashing back. So as soon as Linda said San Vicente, I've gone, oh no, I know what's going to happen here. So she sends the 118 to 550 San Vicente for a woman in labour geriatric pregnancy. Except when they get to 550 San Vicente, it's an empty lot. And there is no pregnant woman there.
Yeah, it's literally just like a gravel under a bridge. Like there's like a massive overpass, it's gravel under a bridge, and they're just like, there's no one here.
Meanwhile, back at the other 550 San Vicente, Roger is getting very upset because the ambulance has not arrived. And it is Maddie who realised...
standing around in the lobby, like, watching. Like, they're not right
like,
next to
none
them,
of them,
but they're
like,
away.
And like, the concierge, when Roger is trying to call 911, the concierge comes up, and I'm thinking, okay, cool, they've got one of the extras to, like, pretend like he's going to help. And all he does is grab Sonia's bag and walks away with it.
Yeah, I saw that, and I was like, what is that guy doing?
I mean, he comes back later and brings her pillows, which is fine, but the way that they just cut that scene, it just looks like he's gone, okay, no bag for you.
No bag for you.
But, yeah, it's Maddie that picks up Linda's mistake.
Apparently there's 3 San Vicentes.
Bobby calls back and goes, there's no pregnant woman here at 550 San Vicente. And Maddie goes, wait, did you just send them to San Vicente? There are 3 of them, and she picks the correct one and manages to give Bobby the cross streets, which I think it's nice because it's going from the first time Maddie encountered San Vicente, she was freaking out, and it's, a year later? I'm not even sure how many
We're
months
still in
later.
season 2, yeah.
Yeah, but there was that 3-month gap in the middle. We'll say, it's been some time, and she is now older and wiser as a 911 dispatcher, and she's like, oh, San Vicente, I know this. But the thing is that Linda started training with her at the same time, and so poor Linda's just like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that there were 3
Yeah, because Linda hasn't stabbed her ex-husband, so it's fine.
Apparently.
Yeah, so we go to 550 San Vicente.
Correct, 550 San Vicente.
Correct, 550 San Vicente. Sonia's saying that he's ready, he wants out, and then the 118 finally arrive. So Roger turns on them and goes, where the hell have you guys been? Bobby's like, we're fighting a system outage. We apologise for the delay. It's just like, Jesus, like, such stock standard answer.
I mean, what was he supposed to do? Throw Linda under the bus?
Yeah, right? Like, it's just, yeah, like, oh yeah, dispatch sent us to a bridge. But yeah, so Eddie starts fluids since Chimney's not there. Hen jumps straight into it. Roger's like, we can't just have this baby here in the lobby. And Sonia's like, this is pretty much the way it's happened throughout human history. This is what's happening. Like, they're not going anywhere.
You do not need a hospital to have a baby. In most cases. In this case, it probably would have been a good thing. A good idea for her
might have
to
been
have been to the
nice,
hospital.
but,
They are lying on the cold floor with a bunch of people just standing around looking at them from a distance.
Right, the background extras are literally just standing there. They're not even pretending to, like, be worried or, have their phones out and filming it.
Like,
They're
she's
just
got, like,
standing there.
the JJ on full display here, and they're just, like, standing around going, oh, what's happening? Oh, look, a baby. What the hell?
But yeah, like, also throughout human history, they didn't usually have babies on their backs, but, we won't go into that.
Yes.
Before my midwife cousin comes and starts a rant somehow. So Hen asks what her name is, which is where we get Sonia. She's 39 weeks pregnant, and she's 38 years old, which makes her a geriatric pregnancy.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which women everywhere roll their eyes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so Hen tells her to push on the next contraction, but Sonia has been really, like, quite calm considering this whole time. Like, Roger's freaking the fuck out. But Sonia's like, this is just what's going to happen. Like, it's fine. And then all of a sudden she goes super quiet and starts to panic. She's like, I can't do this here. I shouldn't have this baby. Something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this was a mistake. Hen's like, no, you're okay. Like, all you have to do is push, just thinking, because, like, obviously they've just got there. They haven't seen how calm Sonia's been this whole time. She's just like, oh yeah, she's just panicking because she's in a hotel lobby. But yeah, Sonia does big push. The baby's out. It's another 6-year-old.
It's so big.
But it's screaming. Like, literally the crowd that have just been staring and watching start clapping. And Hen goes to put the 6-year-old on Sonia's chest, and Sonia's just out.
Yeah.
Like, she's just not looking at it. Like, she's pretty much
Blank.
passed out.
I had to sort of look closely to see whether she was, like, actively seizing at this point, but no, she's just got this really blank look on her face.
So Buck immediately, like, steals the baby from Hen, because of course he does. He's just like, give me the baby, give me the baby. Oh, what, the mom's dying? Oh, shit, that's awkward. But yeah, baby?
Yeah, it's very much, Hen, I will take the baby so that you can attend to the mother. But yeah, we all know that he just wants the baby.
Literally. Like, he runs out the front door and just, like, steals it forever. It's really weird.
He does use the baby to distract Roger from what is happening with his wife.
Yeah, so Roger's like, what's going on? And Buck's just like, hey, look, there's a baby. Look at the baby. Isn't the baby cute?
Just focus on the baby while your wife is, like, dying on the lobby floor here.
So they quickly, like, get, like, blood pressure monitors onto Sonia, whose blood pressure has went off the cliff, which I think means she's got, like, it's low, like, it's dropped. Yeah.
Is that what that means? Because I had no idea what Eddie was talking about. Because cliff makes it sound like it's high, but then it went off the cliff, so it went off really high and then dropped?
Well, when you think of, like, a cliff, like,
if you're going off the cliff, that means you're dropping.
Yeah, it's gone down.
Yeah. Okay, I've kind of got Wile E. Coyote in my head at the moment. So yeah. Okay.
So her blood pressure's
dropped.
Hen says she's got cyanosis, which is when her skin, lips, and or nails turn blue due to the lack of oxygen in her blood. And, like, Roger's still freaking out in the background, asking what's happening. And Buck's like, your wife's just gone into shock.
And Eddie's like, nope, she's dead. I don't have a pulse.
She's got no pulse. So Hen starts compressions.
Bobby is telling them that they need to get her to hospital ASAP, and Buck reminds him, like, yo, Cap, we're actually going to need an extra rescue unit for the baby, because you can't have two patients in the same ambulance, apparently. But when he radios dispatch, dispatch puts him on standby. And he's like, fuck this, we're not standing by, get her on the gurney and let's go.
Yeah, so like, the baby's not the priority, just get her in the thing and we'll deal with the baby later.
Yeah, so Hen and Bobby end up in the back of the rescue ambulance while Roger is with Buck and Eddie in the back of the engine truck.
So, yeah, Hen continues to do compressions on Sonia. Bobby tries to take over, but Hen refuses. Hen's like, no, she's not dying because someone blew a fuse.
She's invested in this now. She doesn't want to lose her.
Yeah. So then they start sort of talking it out. Like, Hen says, you know, I know you're a fighter. Bubba goes, she was fine when we got there. And Hen's like, sudden despair, fear and anxiety. Bobby says the birth was going like clockwork, even for a geriatric pregnancy, then rapid loss of blood pressure, and then they realise it's an amniotic embolism, and she's hemorrhaging.
Mm-hmm. So that's why she's suddenly turning blue, because all of her blood is gone somewhere else, I guess.
Yeah. I believe it's basically just like she's bleeding out into her uterus.
Maybe.
Which wouldn't they be seeing blood though?
You would think, but it's a network TV show and they can't have...
Yeah, I mean, she does say she's hemorrhaging, so I guess they know that she's bleeding, but would that cause her to lose blood pressure like that?
Well, yeah, because all her blood's going out instead of...
Because blood pressure is how much, like, the volume of blood that's going around your body.
I feel like there's nowhere near enough blood in this scene to, like, visually there's no blood.
Yes.
Oh, apparently it's... An amniotic embolism is one of the most catastrophic complications of pregnancy.
Yeah.
Lovely.
And an amniotic fluid, fetal cells, hair, or other debris enters the maternal pulmonary circulation.
Ew.
Oh, that doesn't sound nice.
No.
Anyway, they realise that they need to... She's going to have to go for surgery immediately.
Okay, so... Basically, the amniotic fluid is entering the bloodstream.
Okay, and if chunky bits get into your lungs, then you're dead. Or in your brain, even, for embolisms. Yep. So they need to get her into surgery immediately, and the hospital needs to know that they're coming so they can do that. And Bobby's like, we can't radio ahead, but we can call somebody. So he just calls the the receptionist at the at the hospital that they're heading to, and is like, "Get me on the phone with the ER charge nurse."
Which, can you imagine that you are the receptionist at the hospital, or you're the call center operator, and you've got this guy claiming to be a fire captain, wanting the ER charge nurse?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you just hang up on them?
It does
Well,
sound
I
a
mean, I
little bit
guess
like
they
a prank
also
call.
know that 911 is down, so...
Yeah.
I could understand them taking the call if they were taking her to Presbyterian, because everybody goes to Presbyterian. They know the 118 are Presbyterian by now. But they're going to LA General. We don't usually go to that hospital, so I'm not sure that they're intimately acquainted with the 118 like they are a Presbyterian. But apparently they must do, because when they arrive at the hospital, there is a surgical team waiting for them.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter, because Hen has been doing compressions for 15 minutes now, so the doc's just like, okay, just call it. That's too long to be, like, without a heartbeat.
Which is a bit rude, because, like, Hen's still... Like, but I guess if they've called and said, yeah, we think she's bleeding out, like, I guess there's no blood left, they assume.
I don't know. But Bobby kind of agrees and calls for Hen to stop compressions and leave her, and it takes about 3 times before Hen submits and stops the compressions.
Yeah.
And that's when the dad, I've forgotten what his name is already. Roger. He comes out of the other ambulance and, you know, how is she? And Bobby's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then we have like a really sad scene where they're all standing around watching while Roger tells Sonia that he's not ready to do this without her. He's holding their 6-month-old newborn baby, and you know, I'm gonna do this. You know, I'm not ready to do this without you, but I'm going to. I'm gonna figure it out.
He'll figure it out.
And he puts the baby on Sonia's chest so she can hold it a little bit. And then the heart rate monitor is still on her for some reason.
Apparently.
And yeah, even though she's now out of the ambulance, and I don't know. And then suddenly it starts beeping again. And now she magically has a heartbeat.
Yes.
Now, I've heard of this happening in the opposite way, where a baby who they thought wasn't going to make it has had skin-to-skin contact with their mother and then revived. But I don't know if it happens in the opposite way. That seems...
It does on 911,
like,
apparently.
I don't know if this is based
baby
on a real
pushed the
thing.
blood back in her body? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
It
Doesn't matter. It's good enough for the surgical team, because they immediately wheel her into the hospital to start transfusion or whatever it else is that they need to do. And Roger takes a moment to look back at the 118 and thank them for their efforts. And Hen, who has been holding it together by the skin of her teeth, just absolutely collapses and loses it.
Hen. Like, I actually had goosebumps. I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
And they're all comforting each other. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Bobby
got
grabs
his arm
Hen,
around Hen. Buck goes over to put his hand on Hen's shoulder and sort of comfort her. Eddie puts his hand on Buck's shoulder.
Yeah, so Eddie goes, that was amazing. And Buck goes, that was a miracle. And then turns back to Hen. And Eddie just puts his hands on Buck's shoulders. He's like, I know you fell in love with that baby, but we had to give it back. I'm really sorry. I'll get you pregnant later. It's all good.
I understand why they did that, because they needed Ryan to be off to the side so they could get the shot of Aisha sort of in the huddle. And so if Eddie had gone to comfort Hen as well, it would have blocked the shot. But it just looks so weird.
Anyway, yeah. Team, get Buck pregnant, please. Get that boy a baby.
Oh no, we're back to Omegaverse.
We're always back to Omegaverse. We never left Omegaverse.
So we definitely need to have this fanfic recommendations episode at some point, right?
Give us your best 911 Omegaverse
I don't think I've seen it. 911. Oh, there's got to be some, because I think I've seen a lot of MPreg, but I don't think I've actually seen. Anyway, I'll have to look it up.
Supernatural legacy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, where are we? We're going back to dispatch again, and Josh is trying to suggest locations for Maddie and Chim to go
He's using
out.
the emergency board to point out date options to
Oh,
Maddie.
it's so funny, because it seems like they're, like, looking for an emergency, and instead, no, they're talking about a great little Tuscan spot.
Yeah.
Has a garden that's not really a garden, so you still feel like you're sitting outside. It also has string lights.
Maddie says that sounds intimate, and Josh is a little confused because he said, I thought you wanted intimate. Maddie corrects him and said, no, I wanted special, and Josh, with the pop culture references, goes, oh, Rachel McAdams special or Reese Witherspoon special? And I'm with Maddie, I have no idea what that means. Apparently, it's the difference between fun and flighty or serious and heartfelt. So I'm guessing Rachel McAdams is the fun and flighty, and Reese Witherspoon is serious and heartfelt.
Okay. No, I don't know.
I assume so,
Yep.
yeah. But
I
yeah,
don't know either.
Maddie doesn't want serious. Josh asks her what she does want, and then we cut to the server room. So we don't know what Maddie wants.
Which just reminds me of that scene from The Notebook with Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, what do you want?
Or
The one
maybe
that
that's
gets-
what they were referencing?
Maybe that's they're playing off that, maybe?
Maybe, I don't know, because they
Yeah,
do mention...
okay.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, that makes sense.
We're at the-
If
the-
you've watched a lot of Rachel McAdams or Reese Witherspoon movies, please tell us what the fuck Josh is referencing.
Explain like we're five.
Yes, explain us like we're fifth graders.
Yep.
Because we do not work here.
No. Terry does. And Terry is trying his very best to work with the FBI nerd squad, who basically just pat him on the head and escort him from the room so that the grown-ups can work.
Yeah. He's doing that thing where
Which is
people
pretty
come
much the
into your
entire-
space and, like, poke around in your shit, and you're like, but I've already done all that. Like, have you tried this? And they're like, go away. Let us do our job.
Yeah, Nina very condescendingly tells him, I'm sure that you are very good at your job, but this goes beyond tech support. Now please let us do what we do. And Terry's just like, yeah, alright, sure.
Yeah.
And then we get another little scene where Maddie has been off doing something and comes back to the board where Linda is marking a call, which is an electrical fire on 11th and Margot, but she's marked it as low priority. And you can see the wheels going in Maddie's brain as she stares at the board and sort of repeats to herself, 11th and Margot. Like, why does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
I don't know why it sounds familiar. It's not familiar to us.
But apparently Maddie's got it.
Yes, because Maddie is like super dispatcher. She was dispatcher of the month a little while ago. Remember that?
Yeah, 3 times, wasn't it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Didn't Buck tell us constantly?
How many months has she been
She
there?
told Buck.
It's not many more than 3.
So we're going to go back to the 118. They have returned to the station to refuel the vehicles and restock the ambulance. And they are not the only ones who have returned to the station house, because Bobby sees a familiar-looking backpack that has been placed oh so strategically on the ping-pong table, which he recognizes it as Harry's backpack and discovers Harry sitting in one of the equipment lockers with a very guilty look on his face.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, apparently he had a fight with Michael and he ran away to the station house, which I've got to give him props for. He ran away from home, but he went to a safe place.
Yeah.
But as soon as Bobby hears that Harry ran away and potentially Michael has no idea where he is, he immediately goes for his phone to call Michael, which Harry's like, no, don't call him. And Bobby's like, no, I have to call him. I have to let him know that you're okay. But it turns out that Bobby doesn't need to call him because Harry has been tweeting about his little running away adventure, and Michael's, who obviously follows him on Twitter.
How old is Harry?
He's 10. Why does he have a Twitter?
Why is
Who
he
let this child
Why
on
is
Twitter?
he on Twitter? I don't know.
Like, why is this child on Twitter?
I could understand if he was like Snapchatting, but even then I'd be like, why are you on Snapchat at 10?
And Michael's worried about his parenting?
Yeah, like, maybe get your child off Twitter. Do you know how many, like, predators are on Twitter? Your wife
not
is
to be judgy, but I'm absolutely judging you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
so judging. Like, I don't have any children, but I wouldn't have a 10-year-old on Twitter, surely. I don't want a 10-year-old saying what I tweet.
No.
Vile.
No,
Stuff about
it's
getting
bad
buck
enough
pregnant.
When, it's bad enough when the under 18s start to read what you're tweeting, let alone like the under 10s.
Literally. Like the minors, I'm just like, no, don't read my tweets about getting buck pregnant.
Yeah.
It's just occurred to me that I've been getting my mother into 911 because she wanted to listen to my podcast. Mum, I'm really sorry. But you look at Buck and tell me that man deserves to be pregnant, okay? Anyway.
Hi, Mum.
We're sorry, Alice's mum.
Get that boy a baby! So... Yeah, so Michael
growls at
turns up
Harry to get in the car.
Siri was just trying to also get Buck a baby. Yeah, where were we? I don't know what's going on anymore. Michael turns up.
Michael yells at or growls at Harry to get in the car, so he very meekly like grabs his backpack from Bobby, and Michael just turns and starts walking out, and Bobby is trying to explain himself a little bit, and he's trying to tell Michael, like, I was gonna call you. We just got back. I was gonna call you. Michael ignores him. And Bobby's sort of saying, look, I don't know what you two had a fight about. And Michael's like, do I look like the kind of person who would have a fight with his 10-year-old? Like, you don't fight with a 10-year-old.
Well, you're currently being a dick to your, like, ex-wife's boyfriend, so yeah, actually.
Yeah. So apparently what happened was that Harry and Kyle, which it could be the same kid from earlier.
Yeah.
Don't know. But they decided that it would be fun to set a fire and then try and put it out because fighting fires are so cool. And Bobby's like, oh my God. So they burned the yard down. Everyone is fine. And Bobby's like, okay, I will talk to Harry about it. And that's like the last straw for Michael. He's like, no, you will not talk to him. That is my job, not yours. You have done enough. Which, like, what the hell is that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
Apparently what it means is that Harry used to be a bit of a nerd. He used to play video games. He used to read comic books. But now he's outside in the fresh air
setting fires.
The setting fires part is not good, but like getting off the couch and going outside and playing with his friends, I thought Michael would have been supporting that.
Aren't they 10? Like, shouldn't someone be, like, watching these children? Like, again, I don't have children, but, like, at 10, like, should you just ignore 10-year-olds? I don't expect them to be watched all the time, but, like, where were the parents?
You know what, as a 10-year-old who is very much into video games and comic books and things like that, you kind of assume that they're just going to be on the couch all the time. So if Michael also assumed that Harry was just going to be on the couch all the time, he probably didn't think twice about sort of doing his own thing while Harry was in the house.
Well, it wasn't his yard, though, so, like, it was Kyle's parents that were ignoring them.
Yes, we'll blame Kyle's parents.
Fucking Kyle's parents. First they named their child Kyle.
Yeah, no good comes from naming a child Kyle. But no, Michael wants to blame Bobby because apparently Bobby has been filling Harry's head with nonsense about being a big damn hero and all of these reckless ideas. And Bobby's like, no, I'm not accepting that because I am not reckless and what we do here is not reckless. And then Michael gets mean. He says, no, I get it. You're awesome, way more awesome than me, but I am not interested in raising my son in your image. And Bobby fights back and says, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just trying to be there for Harry. And then so Michael goes in for the kill. He says, what, because I'm not? I'm only there with him half the time now, right? Maybe that makes me half a father, but that is still half more than you. Then Mike drops and walks away.
Like,
Bobby
oh my
just standing there
God.
bleeding.
Bad.
I hate the fact that these people learn who Bobby is, learn about his past, and then throw it in his face at every opportunity.
Yeah.
Like,
So
Beatrice
mean.
did it to him. Michael's now done it to him.
Very mean.
Yeah.
So mean.
So yeah, fuck Michael.
I mean, he's angry, but... And he's feeling threatened.
I get that he's angry and that he's feeling threatened and he's feeling very vulnerable, but don't lash out like that.
Yeah.
And like, how is it Bobby's fault that
Well, they had just
Harry decided to
visited
start a fire?
They had just visited
Because
the fire
they had just
station
been
that
to the
day.
station.
No, I know that, but like Bobby didn't tell him, hey, go start fires.
Yeah.
No, but it goes back to the whole thing, you know, oh, it was so cool because he knows how to fight fires and all my dad did was hand out bottles of water.
Yeah, but that's still not Bobby's fault. Like,
Yeah, apparently Michael is a very little man.
yeah. Like, Bobby absolutely does not deserve that treatment. Because Bobby didn't, like, the talk was not, hey, starting fires is really fun. Which would,
No.
yes, absolutely be Bobby's fault. The talk was, this is how 911 works.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, if they were prank calling 911, then yeah, like, maybe you could link that to Bobby, but like...
Or starting fires so they could call 911 to come
Yeah,
put the fire
like
out.
starting a fire in the library so that the homework all got burnt up. Like, yeah, maybe that would be linked, but like, I understand Harry's trying to emulate Bobby, but Bobby's not asking him to. Like, 10-year-olds just like new people in their lives.
Yeah.
Imagine if Eddie got mad at Buck because Chris thinks that he's cool.
Okay, but your analogy fails there because Eddie also thinks Buck is cool.
That's true.
Alright, so we're back to the episode. We are now back to what appears to be the same sort of cul-de-sac-y row of houses that we were at the beginning of the episode. And a woman is driving and the GPS is telling her to turn right and then make another right, which she is frustrated about because the GPS has told her to take 4 rights in a row, which means she'd be driving around in circles, if my calculations are correct. And she's driving while talking on the phone. And whoever she's talking to on the phone says that 911 is out, accidents everywhere, traffic is going crazy, and our driver just goes, oh, so it's a day ending with Y in LA.
When I was watching this, I was like, are they like insinuating that the 911 being out is responsible for the GPS also going crazy?
I thought the same thing. I was
because,
just
like,
like, what? And then they were
Yeah,
just like,
and at
traffic's
this
going crazy. I'm
point-
like, oh, it's just trying to like get her away from the traffic, I think. But
Well,
it's just not doing a very good job.
yeah, okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is it just the driver being an idiot? Like, going, I don't know, but no, it makes sense if it's trying to reroute her around traffic.
Yeah. It's probably like, yeah, go this way. Then it's like, oh, wait, shit, no, that's backed up too. Maybe turn around, I don't know.
But gets her out into the suburbs, but as she's driving down this road, all of a sudden fire explodes off to her left. And then while she's freaking out about that, another fire explodes, launching a wheelie bin at her, which sends her veering off course into a fire hydrant, which she knocks over, and water starts spouting up into the air, and all of a sudden we are back at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, so our 5 hours is up.
Yes, and we are right back where we started.
So the woman gets out of her car.
It's very neatly done. I did appreciate this.
Yes.
Yeah.
The man is yelling for his son, who's upstairs in the burning, exploding house.
Yes.
But we don't get a resolution right away.
No, we get a commercial break.
Yes. Well, now we've caught up, so now we're going to move forward. And the first thing we're going to do is logically go back to Chimney's apartment, because
obviously.
that makes sense.
He seems, I think he's finished Marie Kondoing at this point.
I think he's just forgotten about the Marie Kondoing. He's far too interested in what's going on with the news, with all.
I mean, it has been 5 hours, so
maybe. But the news has now caught up with what's happening in this little suburb area, which we're calling Doheny Park. and the anchor is reporting that there are explosions happening all over the place, but there is no first responders on the scene. And Chim's like, what the fuck, where are you guys? Pulls out his phone and calls Buck. And literally says, where are you guys?
Okay, so one, why did Chim just call Buck? Like, why not Bobby? Two, is it just because Buck always answers his phone while he's at work? Because,
Probably.
again, he answered his phone while at work.
He does have a history of doing that.
There's not even a, like, oh, guys, it's Chim. He's just like, yeah, what's up? Like, you're Reba. So Buck's just like, oh yeah, we're like crossing Robinson for the 320th time. And Chim's like, dude, like the whole neighborhood in Doheny Park's on fire. Like, go over there. And Buck's like, oh, did you hear it on the scanner? And Chim's like, no, I'm watching the news. So Buck tells Bobby to get over to Doheny Park. And so, they go over to Doheny Park. And sure enough, there's no one else there.
Yeah, they report to dispatch that they're going to Doheny Park. They're not waiting to get called out.
Yeah.
Josh tells them that he's going to try and find additional resources for them, but they are probably going to be there on their own for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, because, like, they don't know where all the trucks are either. So they've got to, like, work out where everyone is and then work out who's free.
Yeah.
So, it'll be 15, maybe 20 minutes. And
before they can even get out of their truck, the father who... We never get a name for him. There's a name in the closed captions. They call him David, so just for the ease of it, we're just going to call him David. David is immediately throwing himself on the truck, going, "You've got to help my son, he's trapped upstairs."
So Bobby jumps out of the truck, asks which room. David goes, "I haven't seen him." But Eddie, who's, like, immediately looking at the house, sees the curtains moving. And he's in one of the upstairs windows.
Wasn't he in the window before, though? He was waving out the window.
Literally, he's been waving out the window the whole time. I think David's just...
I think he was waving out the window and then the explosion happened and he probably...
Yeah, like a moment later. Like, well...
we don't know how long it took the 118 to get there, though. So he might have...
True.
Dropped to the floor when it exploded and David lost sight of him. Eddie has spotted the kid. And so Bobby orders Buck to go get the ladder truck so that they can get to the upper story and get the kid. And I love that when they cut to a little bit, like just a few minutes later, the truck is rolling forward and Buck's just hanging off the side of it. It just looks so cool.
Yeah.
But we have discovered that when our driver friend from earlier crashed into that fire hydrant, spilling the water everywhere, that was apparently the only source of water for the entire sort of cul-de-sac, and there is no water to fight the fires. There is only what water is in the engine truck's reserves, and that's not enough to put out one house, let alone an entire neighborhood's worth of houses. Which, that doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound real either.
No. Like, if she just knocked the hydrant over, like, wouldn't there be, like a geyser of water, like, gushing up into the sky? Like, I don't know if that's just a movie thing.
Though. That was the thing. We saw that she knocked the hydrant over and there's just geyser of water, but guessing
like, we've
that
literally
the water
seen
has
the
been
118
spewing for so long that they can't tap it,
like
I guess.
They've run out of all the... Yeah, I don't know. But I guess, like, because the hydrant's gone, they can't attach to the hydrant.
But again, one hydrant for the entire street?
Yeah, that's it. No more water.
No more water. They can't
LA
run a
is
hose.
actually now out of water.
But obviously they need to set up the fact that they have no water for the rest of the storyline to make sense.
Yeah. But yes, so there's no water.
And which Chimney apparently figures out just by watching the news. Because I don't think the anchor says anything about it. But he's pacing back and forwards in his apartment, trying to troubleshoot this from...
Yeah, he's literally like, they have no water, they've got no backup. Like,
Buck probably sent him a text.
Buck's tweeting it with the hashtag 911LA.
Yeah, he's like, there's no water. We can't do this.
Down here in Doheny Park, got no water, peace sign.
Yeah. But then Chimney gets an idea.
One of my followers scaling a drain pipe.
So Chimney again pulls out his phone and makes a call. Like the first time that I watched this, I didn't pick this up. Ellen, did you pick up who he called?
Yeah, he said, "Hey, Tommy." The only reason that I knew that it was the Tommy from last week or whatever is because I knew from the future that he's a pilot. I didn't know that previously.
Okay.
I would never have known.
I picked it up the first time I watched, but again, only because I started watching because of 704.
Yeah.
Okay,
So every Tommy mention I wrote down in my notes because that was before everyone hated Tommy.
As the only person on this podcast who has watched prior to season 7, I did not pick up that this was Tommy Kennard.
No, why would you pick up the fact that it was a generic white man that,
Because
he likes craft beer.
Now that we're sort of watching it, having seen future episodes, it makes sense. But this is an instance where the writers have obviously planned ahead. And so Chimney is operating on information that he knows, but we as the audience don't know yet.
I'm just imagining Jim being like, "Hey, Tommy." And Tommy's like, "Hey, man. Yeah, are you still with the 217? Yeah, I'm just at a monster truck rally. What are you up to?" But yeah, I completely forgot that they do actually mention now that Tommy works in some regard with the air. You don't see him flying.
Yeah, he's not actually
in
the episode. I assume it's his voice in the phone. Do we even hear him speak?
No, you don't really hear it. You sort of hear it, but
I doubt they would have dragged Lou Ferrigno Jr. down for 2 lines.
Yeah.
It's just they've got someone on the ADR booth has just jumped in to do those 2 lines. But I'm guessing that the 217 is the equivalent of the 114 in real life, which is the aerial firefighting unit that works out of Van Nuys Airport. That's where all the aerial stuff, all the helicopters are.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Buck is climbing up the ladder, but for some reason the ladder truck isn't close enough to the house for the ladder to reach the house. Buck's reaching out to try and the kid is at the window now, looking out of the window, but
he's at a different window because the idiot's been running around upstairs.
I don't know, but they're trying to move the ladder and extend it, and Buck is standing on the end of it. It just looks extremely unsafe. I don't know if this is something that would really happen.
Especially when you've got ladder trucks held together with chewing gum and spit.
Yeah, well, we find out, we fuck around and find out when the ladder actually breaks and Buck manages to grab onto the end of it and, dangles underneath it. But, yeah, he's lucky he didn't break his neck out of that one.
I think Buck should just stay away from climbing ladders, honestly.
Oh, honestly. Buck and extending ladders is not a good idea.
No.
So Bobby is freaking out because the ladder truck is broken and his son is just dangling in midair holding on to this broken piece of ladder. Eddie has other ideas and he turns and runs towards the house, and when Buck gets down onto the ground, he's like, hey Eddie, what are you doing? Eddie is shimmying up the drain pipe.
Yeah, literally just climbs straight up the drain pipe.
They just looked away and all of a sudden he's like, right, I'm in there. Off he goes.
And then he climbs up on the roof and then sort of crawls across over the top of the peak of the roof. And Buck is just watching him and then looks at Bobby and goes, I feel like if I did that, you would yell at me. Why aren't you yelling at him?
Yeah, I was asking the same question. I'm like, why are they just standing there looking at him? No one's...
literally, Bobby's just he looks so guilty. He's like, yep.
Well...
And at first I thought, when he was right up on the top of the roof there, I thought he was going to, Santa Claus his way down the chimney or something. But no, he does better than that.
Maybe that's how Chimney got his nickname.
He does... Maybe. Write that down for future reference. if we ever find out.
We're never going to find out.
Yeah, there's no way they can come up with a better storyline
No.
than, like, the theories.
Everything we've ever thought about.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, going down a chimney would be fine. I'd buy that. It sounds like something Chim would do. But in this case, he doesn't do that because he can do something that Chim can't do, which is the maneuver.
Yay!
Oh my god, it is the maneuver, isn't it?
He just swings in
It's
through the
definitely the
window.
maneuver.
Perfectly through this tiny window.
Doesn't even get cut up.
He's never
I mean,
done
he
the
did put
maneuver
his visor
before.
down,
Well,
so it's
maybe
fine.
he has. Who knows?
Buck and him practice it at home.
It's foreplay.
Which one's doing the maneuver and which one's pretending to... Anyway, do they take it in turns? Or they switches?
Switches. They take it in turns. We're sorry, Alice's mum.
Mum will be like, oh, now that I finished season 1, I should listen to your podcast. And I'll be like, no. What's it called? It doesn't have a name. We don't actually publish it. We just like to have calls every week.
It's fine. You're just going to have to explain fan fiction to her at some point. And then she'll be lost. She'll be on her way. You'll never see her again. She'll just be reading the whole time.
Yes. So suddenly she's very invested in her Kindle.
To be fair, like, there's a reason that I have a love of fan fiction, and it's like my mother was reading like erotic novels before I was born, so
Oh, there you go.
runs in the family.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Eddie climbs over the roof, goes into the window.
And Buck is just standing there going, oh my God, that was hot.
Looks like I'm gonna need a cold shower after this. And yeah, does the maneuver through the window, but the kid's not there because he's fucking moved again.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't even know, like, to stay low to the ground. He literally is just running from room to room, and it's like, for fuck's sake, go to a talk where they tell you to stay down low.
Yes.
And like
His class apparently never got to go to a trip to a fire station.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he missed it. He was moving house.
True.
But yeah, so Eddie tries to find him, but's choking on the smoke. The kid's gone into the bathroom, which is weird because Eddie goes into the bathroom and it's carpeted.
It's massive, and it's like 3/4 of the room is carpeted, and I have no idea what is going on in this house.
Like, there's a bathtub in there, there's a toilet in there, but it's carpeted.
Yeah,
And there's no, like,
it's a thing.
internal walls.
In
What?
the UK, they often have carpet in the bathroom. We had a house that
But
had
like,
carpet.
no, but this isn't a bathroom. This looks like a bedroom that they have tiled off like a tiny quarter of the room. Like, the rest of the room is wide open and carpeted, then you've just got tile and a toilet and a bathroom.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't
It's
get that.
It's very strange. Like, it's literally, like, you never see a sink. Like, it's literally just a bathtub and a toilet.
That is weird.
And carpet.
We had this carpet in the bathroom in our house in the UK, and it was so gross because, I mean, for one thing, it's right next to the toilet. So,
Ew.
like, yeah. And we had this problem with leaking pipes, like behind the shower.
No.
And it was so bad. The people who we were renting from just didn't bother coming to fix it for ages. And we had so much damp in there because their houses are all shut up like most of the year. So it's just things never dry out. And we had mushrooms growing in this carpet.
Oh my god.
It was so gross. And eventually they came.
So rentals in the UK are the same as rentals in Melbourne, is what you're saying?
Apparently.
Yeah,
eventually they came and fixed it and we got it all cleaned, and it was just, we were like, when the mushrooms started growing, we were like ringing the real estate going, look, we can't live here. We're going to get sick. Please come and fix this. Yeah, so anyway.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Anyway, carpeted bathrooms. It's a thing.
carpeted bathrooms. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen
Not
carpeted
in
kitchens
Australia.
too.
We do not do that. We don't do that
We do
here.
have carpeted kitchens though, which is also weird.
Yeah, no, I would not put carpet in the kitchen. That's gross.
No. Anyway, yeah, so Eddie crawls over. The kid is unconscious,
Alive.
but alive, and Eddie's preparing for evac, but then flames just like
Whoosh in
erupt.
the background, like the house is like, no, you're
He's
here,
like
you're
coughing
staying.
through the smoke. I'm like, why did you not put a mask on before you came in through the window? Like,
Literally.
Because that would have, like, he had enough time to run back to the truck and get rope. Apparently, he did not think
not
about
a
grabbing an
smoke
O2 mask at the
inhalation.
same time.
But yeah, back down on the street, Hen says that the gas guys have just shown up. They're shutting down the gas. All the neighbours are present and accounted for. There's 2 more engines rolling in, but there's still no water pressure. And then the house explodes behind them. Like, that Eddie's in. So Eddie ducks and rolls, and he goes, okay, negative on the evac. I'm pinned down on the south side.
And Buck immediately goes,
oh my god, like, I'm gonna take an extinguisher! I got it! I'm going!
like, Buck, the entire house is on fire. Your one little extinguisher is gonna do jack shit.
Literally, like, how are you gonna get in there? Like, he literally is planning on jumping from the ladder, which is broken, with an extinguisher. And Bobby's just like, what the fuck are you doing? But then
rescue his boy.
the love of my life needs me. Our child needs his mother. But then we hear a plane.
All right, Bex, tell us about this plane.
Oh my god. Okay, so if you like this episode, if you love this scene, and I understand if you do because I loved this scene. I thought this scene was the coolest thing that 911 has ever done.
It was a very cool scene. Yes.
If you do like it and you would like to continue to like it, I would suggest scrubbing forwards for about 5 minutes. Because I don't know why. I know that 911 is full of shit. I know they do everything for the drama. I don't know why I try and fact check this show. But I did, and I destroyed this scene for myself. And if you want to hear me destroy this scene for you, then continue listening. If you don't, scrub on for about 5 minutes. Alice, Ellen, I apologize because I'm about to ruin this for you.
Go on.
So a plane swoops in, and it's a C-130 Hercules water bomber.
Yeah.
And the conceit is that Chim has called Tommy, who has flown in with his water bombing plane, and they're going to bomb the neighborhood to put out the fires. There are like 3 problems with this, however. If the 217 is indeed based on the 114, which is the aerial firefighting unit for the Los Angeles Fire Department, they don't have planes. They do now. As of August 2024, they have acquired a couple of Hercules bombers, but back in 2019, they only had helicopters.
Right.
And any planes that they had, they would be borrowing from Canada and I think also from Australia. But they would only borrow those during the high fire season, like July onwards. Mm-hmm. So if Tommy had rocked up
and for those in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't really need them in our winter because we don't really have fires in our winter. So it's like, you can just keep them. We don't care.
Yeah. So if Tommy had rocked up in a helicopter, I would have been okay with it. But he didn't. He rocked up in a C-130. There are C-130 bombers in California. They are owned by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. And they use them to fight wildfires out in the forests of California. But then we get to problem number 2, which is those planes are set up to disperse fire retardant, not water. And the fire retardant is like 80% water, 12% ammonium phosphate, and it's not used to put out fires. It's more they send out the planes to lay down this fire retardant in advance of fires, because once they coat the trees and the bushes and everything with this stuff, it just literally won't burn.
Yeah. So it doesn't put fire out.
I don't know why they didn't use a helicopter.
Probably would put fire out, but they don't use it as we're going to put out this fire. It's like we can see the fire is coming, so we're going to lay this down in its path so that it's going to get to here and it's just going to go out because it doesn't have any fuel anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't use a helicopter. Because
it wouldn't look as cool though. Is the only
I guess
thing I can think of.
Because like then they would have just dumped it on the house. Yeah. So the helicopters have like as someone who like literally lived through a bushfire, the helicopters have like a hose in them. They go over to a water source, which is usually like, well, I guess here it's a dam. I guess LA would be the same. It'd just be like some sort of water source.
The ocean.
But they used our dams during Black Saturday, so we saw it a lot. But yeah, they just use a water source. So they go suck up the water using the hose, and then they dump it on the fire to put the fire out.
Right.
Yeah, they've got giant tanks underneath them.
It's really cool to watch, and there's big ones and there's small ones. So is it Hercules? Elvis?
Yeah, Elvis is one of the airplanes, though, I believe. Or is he one of the helicopters?
I'm pretty sure Elvis is the helicopter.
It's got
yeah, Elvis is the helicopter. So Elvis is the huge one, which is the main one we have in Australia. Mm-hmm. We also have a lot of smaller ones too. So we had a smaller one. We had two smaller ones, I think, that would like tag team back and forth. And use our dam and then go over to our neighbour's place and put the fire out around them. So that was really cool. But like the Elvis helicopter will do the same thing as the plane did in the show. Like
doesn't
it just
look as cool, I guess, because you don't have the swooping in of the plane. But then we get to problem number 3, which I didn't realise was a problem until I started Googling, because I was trying to work out what the plane was that they were using. And I came across a Reddit thread which led me to a news article, because this episode aired April 15th, 2019, as we said at the beginning of the episode. April 15th, 2019, Notre Dame was on fire.
Oh, Jesus.
oh no!
And Donald Trump, who, as we know, is a world expert in firefighting and firefighting methods, he tweeted, perhaps flying tankers could be used to put out the fire in Notre Dame. To which the entire French firefighting and pretty much anyone who has ever done any kind of firefighting in the world just went, you're a fucking idiot. Because I'm reading from the article here. Dropping water from a firefighting plane is the equivalent of dropping 3 tons of concrete at 250 kilometers an hour on the building.
Oh, God.
It
Yeah,
would have
it literally
absolutely
would have taken out Notre Dame.
flattened Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But because it's such an intense deluge of water, they don't use it in urban firefighting because, number one, it's going to destroy the structures that you are trying to put out, but it also puts everybody on the ground at risk.
Right.
You imagine that much water coming down onto you and onto the things that you perhaps... It also has the potential of creating even more collateral damage.
Yeah.
Because it's going to send everything flying from the impact
so
of all this
hiding
water.
underneath a fire truck is probably not enough.
Probably wouldn't help you. Yeah. It's just the irony of 911 airing and then doing this.
Yeah.
And then in the news, people are saying, yeah, no, this is a bad idea. We never do this in real life. I love the timing is amazing.
Yeah.
But, so it kind of... It just completely destroys the scene for me because it's just not possible that this could happen in reality.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm getting upset about it because I know that stuff happens in this show that could never happen in reality. Like you managed to time it perfectly that a train is going to stop so that when the doors open you are directly behind the person that you were trying to arrest. But it makes me sad that this amazing, heart-stirring, emotionally impressive scene is one of the ones that wouldn't actually work in reality.
Yeah.
But anyway, in 911 it does work.
In 911 it does work, and it looks very impressive because the plane swoops in and
Bobby
everybody
sees
dives.
the plane and tells everyone to get under the trucks. So gets everyone under all the trucks that are there. Bobby also radios Eddie and tells him to hunker down because the plane's he says the 217's inbound.
Apparently everybody knows what the 217 means.
Yeah. And Eddie's like, what?
But then Eddie's response is, I'm going to put the kid in the bathtub, I'm going to climb into the bathtub, I'm going to open my bunker coat, which apparently must be made of, like, the same kind of material that Captain America's shield is made out of. Because I'm just going to
Obviously.
hold it out open over the kid, and it is going to protect us both from this insane deluge of water that's going to drop down over us.
Magic coat.
Apparently, I want one of these turnout coats.
Yeah, so they're in the bath, getting shielded. Bobby grabs Hen and pulls her under the truck. And the plane opens the tank doors and drops a shit ton of water all over the house and, like, into the street. Because, obviously, it, like...
I mean, it looks
doesn't
like
just
it's
drop
got
it in one
some
spot.
foam in it as well, like the flame retardant stuff, maybe, because it looks...
I think that's just the oxygen in the water, because, you know,
Yeah,
when you
I
run
think
a
it's
tap
like
and
rapids,
the water sort of foams up.
Like, after it's all done, there's just water everywhere. So I just assumed that it was water, but when it was falling, it looked like it was, something else.
But yeah, it
think
puts
it's,
out
like,
the fire,
also-
it fixes everything because it's a magical plane.
Yes, and nobody gets hurt.
No one gets hurt, Eddie's
Eddie
fine.
somehow survives. The kid does not drown because apparently the coat managed to stop water from getting into the bathtub and
No,
drowning
it's
the kid.
fine. He didn't put the plug in. The water just went down the bathtub. God sucks.
That's one rapidly emptying tub. That's almost dangerous if it empties that quickly. That's like it's going to suck your foot down.
Sucks the children down. It's like, oh, shit. But yeah, so the front door of the house opens up and we basically get, like, a choir playing while Eddie carries this child out, puts him on the board.
How exactly is sunlight shining out of that door?
It's magical.
Yeah. I saw that. I'm like,
They
half
put
the
him
house
on
is
the
fallen
board.
down and there's, like, light shining through the...
They do a
Just
quick
through the door.
sternum rub and the child just wakes up.
Yeah.
And Buck is immediately, like, at Eddie and just goes, "What's up with the Spider-Man routine? Gonna be thinking about that later tonight."
Smoke-eating Spider-Man.
And Eddie says he doesn't know, he just did it and he prayed a lot, which is out of Eddie's character, we find out later, but I guess...
I would just like to point out that any military training that Eddie had for following orders has now completely left his system.
Oh yeah, Buck has completely corrupted him.
Completely corrupted him. He's now
Buck's
just
like, you
doing
know, in my
whatever he
first
wants.
6 months, I stole the ladder truck to have sex on the, like, had sex in the engine, had sex in the ladder truck, and Eddie's like,
Me likey.
But Bobby says it looks like someone was listening.
and that someone was Chim.
It was definitely Jim.
Because we then cut to Chim, he's got his arm raised in victory going, yes! Ow!
He's still got
Victory
stitches.
stances don't work when you've been stabbed 3 times in the abdomen.
Yeah, new religion is chimney. Pray
Yeah.
to the altar of chimney.
Now we can go back to Marie Kondoing his clothes.
Oh, thank God, because
The excitement's over.
I was worried.
And everything's fit, or the magical airplane also fixed the dispatch because
It did.
they didn't find anything, no viruses, no nothing, and apparently it all came back because Maddie realised that the electrical fire that was the low priority call is where the communications equipment lives for 911, which I feel like someone should have realised before now.
I do love that the fact that there was just a fire going and they were just like, nah, we'll deal with that later. Like, what were they gonna do? Was the fire just gonna, like, keep going forever? Like, I don't understand.
Like, the whole system went down, they didn't even think to check on the communications equipment.
Nobody tried turning it off and turning it back on again.
Yeah.
Is literally what it comes down
They
to.
just jumped straight to cyber terrorism.
Yes. Horses, not zebras. Which, yeah.
yeah,
And
they
then
literally
he
just
gets
didn't
to
bother
say-
to look at the generator.
It just broke. The episode title. Almost. Nothing. I don't think anyone actually says broken.
We get broke a couple of times.
Yeah, broke is,
but
yeah. but not.
But not broken. So thank you, our writer for this episode, for not making us take a shot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're actually sober
appreciate
tonight. It's very exciting.
So somebody has gone over into 11th and Mango and they've calmed the generator down and they've unplugged it and they've turned it off and turned it back on again, and the CAD comes back up and everybody is happy. And the Nerd Squad's just like, we didn't even think of that.
Yep.
Our bad.
Yep.
So we haven't visited the Grants in a while. Like their house.
Let's do that.
So Athena gets home and May is there. And she says to May as she walks in, "Oh, do you know what happened to the Andersons' front yard? It looks like it's burned up." And May's just like, "You should ask Harry about that."
Yeah, I wasn't home.
But we only just get that one reference. We don't get any further explanation of what happened afterwards, but I liked that.
No, but Harry is in the kitchen making Athena's favourite, which is waffles.
Mm-hmm.
And Athena's like,
It's very
that's
stereotypical,
sweet.
but okay.
What did you do?
Literally. But also, hang on. So Michael picked up Harry from the fire station after having a fight after this kid's lit something on fire.
Yep.
Yelled at Bobby,
Yep.
and then just took Harry home and left him at Athena's place.
With his sister.
Yeah. And then let him cook.
I'm going to assume that May was home by then.
Like,
And didn't
just
tell
play with
Athena
more
anything.
Fire.
Didn't tell her.
Didn't even call Athena. Like, no wonder Harry likes Bobby better, because Michael's not doing great fathering right now.
Oh,
He's a
dear.
little bit emotionally distraught right now. You got to cut him a tiny bit of slack.
Michael's like, this kid sucks. I'm dropping it back at its mother's place and going home.
This is not my child anymore.
Not my circus, not my monkeys. It's your turn.
And like Bobby also didn't message Athena and go like, hey, one, your ex-husband's an asshole, and two, your kid literally set a fire.
Well,
You
I
should
mean,
probably deal with
he
that.
must have taken it to heart when Michael told him to butt out.
Yeah. Poor Bobby.
Yeah.
But before we get the resolution to that storyline, we've got to jump back into the Maddie and Chimney storyline, where Maddie is getting ready to leave, but leaving means going to pick up Chim for their date, and she hasn't planned anything. Which, I mean, is kind of understandable because she had a pretty busy day.
Yeah.
But Josh wonders whether it was that she was so busy, or maybe it's that she was sort of subconsciously procrastinating because she's not ready to go on this date with Chimney.
Mm-hmm.
And Maddie kind of agrees with him, but she says that she just needs to leave what happened behind her and she needs to move forward. And then Josh gives her this great analogy where he says, when people break a leg, nobody says just walk it off, because they recognize that walking on an injury like that only compounds the damage, implying that Maddie should be treating her trauma the same way she would treat a broken leg, and she shouldn't be trying to walk on it. He tells her that pretending that she's not hurt is not the same as healing. He can be very profound sometimes, Josh.
I love Josh. So then we go back to Station 118 and the broken ladder truck.
Is this the first time we've seen Marty?
Yeah.
It is the first time we've seen Marty.
Okay. He just
and I do like this scene.
He was kind of familiar. I'm like, have we seen you before? But no, I don't think so.
We haven't seen Marty, and this is a very clever scene. I do like this scene.
Mm-hmm.
And we can discuss next week why I like this scene.
Okay.
So Marty appears to be the mechanic for either the 118 specifically or for LAFD, and he's come out to inspect the ladder truck. And he tells Bobby that he can possibly repair it, but he's going to need to take it away. They're going to be without a ladder truck for a few days. He can bring in the backup ladder truck, but, there's a reason that it's the backup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Paperclip and duct tape.
Yes. Although Marty does offer to throw in some chewing gum to help keep it together a little bit longer if Bobby would like. Marty says that even with a broken ladder truck, he's impressed that Bobby got the job done. That's not nothing. And Bobby has a great line where he says, equipment breaks, we don't.
And Marty likes that so much that he says that's a t-shirt.
That's a
Put
t-shirt.
that on a t-shirt.
I wonder if it is on a t-shirt somewhere. Somebody must have put it on Redbubble.
Yeah, it'll be
now.
on there somewhere. And if not, it will be now because the bots will take it.
Yes.
But Michael is there.
Yes, when Bobby turns to climb down off the ladder truck, because he and Marty are having this conversation standing on top of the ladder truck. Bobby turns and sees Michael waiting for him on the ground and says that Michael says that he thinks that he and Bobby need to talk. So Bobby takes him up to the kitchen, offers him coffee and tells him that there is pie. And so they talk. And Michael apologizes to Bobby and says that he was out of line and that he shouldn't have lost his temper like that. Bobby accepts the apology and he says, if he's overstepping with the kids, he is sorry. He apologizes and he will back off. And Michael explains what we, the audience, already know, that he overheard Harry bragging about his cool new dad and it stung a little.
Mm-hmm. And Bobby's pretty sure that he's just impressed by shiny trucks. Michael
Fair.
says, but he was mad.
It's the shiny trucks and the uniforms, let's be real.
Everyone's impressed by a uniform. He ran here to Bobby. And, Bobby says, I don't think it's because he thinks of me as his dad. It's because I'm a safe person. He doesn't say that, but that's kind of what he implies.
He's like,
I'm best buddy Bobby, nothing but fun. And Michael's like, what the hell are you talking about, man? And he's like,
Bobby says it's something that Athena keeps telling him.
Yeah.
That Bobby is trying to be their friend, but he needs to be their step-parent. And Bobby confesses that she's right, that he is overcompensating with the kids because he is not their father. And Michael goes, well, I wouldn't get too worked up over the fact that you're not their father because I am no fun at all. I mean, just ask Harry or Glenn. Because apparently he and Glenn broke up.
Aww.
So Bobby breaks out the ice cream.
Yeah.
Because ice cream heals all wounds. And he apologizes to Michael, saying that Athena didn't tell him that Michael and Glenn broke up. And Michael's like, well, that's because I haven't told her, because I don't know how to tell her. Like, how do you say to your ex-wife, like, remember that time I blew up your life and left you for somebody? Well, whoops. Didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's maybe not the best way in. So Michael says for the last 3 days he's been feeling like a fool and then started acting like one. And Bobby says that it wasn't his finest moment either. Michael struck a nerve. The reason that I don't put my foot down with your kids is that I'm always afraid they're going to tell me that I'm not their father. Because I'm not. I'm nobody's father. Which is mean, because Buck's right there.
He can't put his foot down with Buck either. He does it all the time.
He puts his foot down all the time with Buck.
Yeah.
And Buck's never turned around and gone, you're not my real dad.
Yet.
I mean, it's such a sad sentiment, but I don't know whether is it in Bobby's character to think that he's not a father anymore?
I mean, I guess it's...
He's sort of moved past his, I don't know, maybe he's just slipping back into the depression kind of.
Maybe.
Michael's pushing him over the edge, man.
But Michael says that he's about to become a stepfather, so they have to work on Bobby's bad cop routine and present a united front, or the kids will divide and conquer us for sure.
So
and the Bobby-Michael friendship was born.
They're friends again now. And Bobby's like, do you need to talk about... And Michael just goes, no.
Nope.
Oh, that didn't end well. Okay.
I think Bobby was slightly relieved that he doesn't have to discuss Michael's sex life with him. Which I can imagine that he would be just absolutely itching to get the tea so that he could share it with Athena.
I know, right? But also he has to deal with Eddie and Buck's and Chim's love lives. He doesn't want to deal with Michael's as well.
He just goes into dad mode. Yeah, he can't help himself.
Once he's talking about he's not a father, he's got like a whole
he's
station
dad to
full of
everybody.
kids.
Literally.
Oh.
Speaking of Chimney and his love life, Maddie really didn't come up with a plan. So rather than picking Chimney up and, showing him the town, they end up sitting in Chimney's apartment eating bowls of it just looks like plain pasta.
Yeah, like did Maddie
Chim's
cook? Did Chimney cook? Did they just get taken?
I'm gonna say Chim cooked. And like he's
Does it
tried.
look
There's
that
a
bad?
tablecloth. No, I just remember future episodes when we see Maddie try to cook and it doesn't end up going well. So I'm leaning on the side of the man who can make her hot mustard is probably going to be the more likely one to cook.
Yeah, that's right.
But he's got like flowers on the table and there's a little candle and there's wine. It looks very romantic, but they're just not feeling it.
It's awkward as fuck.
It's sad, yeah.
They're talking about the weather, for fuck's sake.
Yeah. Chim literally says, I think it's supposed to start raining tomorrow.
Which leads them to a discussion about their mental states, because Maddie says, oh, that's great. If it's raining, I can just stay at home and sleep. Catch up on some sleep, actually, which Chim asks, are you not sleeping well? And Maddie goes, no, I'm falling into a depressive funk. All I want to do is sleep.
Yeah.
I just want to throw the covers up over my head and never come back out again. And then Chim confesses that he's not okay either. I'm
really proud of them for having this conversation.
They're talking. They're using their words.
Like, they're actually... Yeah, both... Like, they are communicating. Like, Chim, after season 1... where literally he didn't even know that the girl he was proposing to had been engaged before. Like, he's now like, yep, no, I'm not okay. We're not okay.
Yeah.
Or, like, when he stormed into the station and let fly at Bobby because he was angry rather than using his words.
Yeah.
Which then led him to... get the rebar through the head. He's obviously learnt now that if he's got big feelings, he needs to talk about them. Lest he ends up with more rebar in other parts of his body.
So Chim says he wanted the date to be perfect to make up for the one that they didn't get, but he thinks that's asking a little too much of a bowl of pasta. And Maddie says she hates her apartment building. She hates walking out her front door. She tried going home, but every time she just sees him laying there.
Like, you get the idea that when with the bowl of pasta comment, Chim's trying to keep it light, and May just comes out and says, I hate my apartment. And Chim looks taken aback. He's like, oh, we're going there. But
yeah.
Okay, we're going there. Like, all right, I see you hate your apartment building, and I raise you that I freaked out my neighbour because they snuck up behind me when I was getting the mail.
Yeah.
And I thought it was Doug. And I was about to get stabbed again.
And then Maddie breaks all of our hearts by saying, this is never going to be the same. Whatever it is we were about to have, we're never getting it back. It's like, oh, no. Don't say that.
But Chimney agrees. He says, no, we're never going to get it back. So Maddie's like, okay, cool, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I'm out.
And literally just gets up.
Yeah, literally just gets
away.
up over her pasta. And, but yeah, so Chim, like, he sits there for a minute and then gets up.
Just like that fish thing where, like, his mouth's flapping but no words are coming out because he's just, like, he needs to say something but he can't figure out what to say to make her stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he rushes back before she leaves and says, hang on. We're not saying goodbye. We just need a minute.
Maddie agrees. She gives him this long, sweet kiss and says, yeah, just a minute, and then walks out of his apartment.
Is every
That's the end of the
episode now?
episode.
Every episode from now on going to end with the smooches?
But they're always sad kisses. Like, it's kisses
Yeah,
in
both
a
of
hospital
them. Yeah,
bed when
both
you
of them
just
happen.
survive being
Yeah.
stabbed, or I'm going to kiss you and leave you.
Oh, Madney. I love you guys so much.
Yeah, I really liked this episode. Parts of it were like batshit insane, but like,
I like 911 when it's batshit insane. Like, as long as it's fun batshit insane.
but it was well paced. Like, I liked the pace of it was pretty good. It didn't jump around too much. It did do a lot of jumping around, but it was within reason. It wasn't just for no reason.
Yes.
And yeah.
Like, the little montages were fun. We got, like, the big emergency with the house and Eddie doing a Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yes. Which, if you guys are on TikTok, we've mentioned him before. I need to do a shout out to Fire Department Chronicles and his green screening myself into TV shows. He does cover the Eddie crawling up the drain pipe and climbing across the roof scene, and gives the spin of how that would go down in reality. And spoiler alert, it would not go down well if a firefighter in reality did that. So I will link that in our socials so you can check out that particular that video, because it's quite funny.
It's great. It is funny watching, like, knowing the regulations we have in Australia, at least, because, like, anything, like, if you're above, I think it's 2 meters, you have to be harnessed. And then there's just Eddie, like,
Buck should have been harnessed as well.
he was.
going up
That's how he didn't fall off the.
No, he didn't fall off the ladder, because as he fell, he managed to grab
grabbed the ladder.
the bottom of
Yeah.
the ladder and hung on for dear life. Because
one
then
hand.
once he stopped swinging, he just dropped down to the ground to meet Bobby.
Oh, well, that's awkward.
But he wasn't harnessed in.
He's definitely harnessed on the ladder later.
Yes, he obviously learned his lesson. He's not going up on a ladder without a harness from now on. Or maybe Bobby's learned his lesson to not let Buck up on the ladder without a harness.
As if it would be Bobby, it'd be Eddie. Now, babe, make sure you harness yourself in.
We don't want to
Yes,
repeat
it
it
was.
last time.
But yes, Eddie doing the maneuver, he should have had a harness on.
Yeah.
Rather than just, grabbing hold of the rope and holding on for dear life.
Yeah, with his bare hands.
Yes.
Like,
Yep.
Anyway, we're getting into the nitty gritty again. It's gonna be okay.
But yeah, it was fun batshit insanity. Like, the plane made
like
no
this-
sense, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you
that's
know
fine.
what? Compare my rant about the airplane to my rant about the train. There is a different level of, like, I'm not as angry about the batshit insanity in this episode as I am about in other episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the train thing was still a lot of fun, but also, like,
No,
completely
it wasn't.
implausible.
Oh, God.
Okay, maybe not fun, but, like, it was impressive for the outcome. I guess. I don't know. Anyway, what shenanigans have we got coming up next time?
Oh, we have a heist episode next week.
Oh,
I was so surprised. I forgot that this was so early in the show.
The next episode is called Oceans 911.
gosh.
And the summary tells us that a going away party for a bank manager turns into an emergency and then a mystery as the first responders are accused of pulling off a daring heist. And it is so much fun.
It's so much fun. Like, as we said, we like batshit insane when it's fun. This is so much fun.
It is.
Excellent.
Like, I remember watching it going, what the fuck is happening? And what show am I watching?
I love episodes
It's
like
so
that.
good.
It's great.
And it's pretty low on the trigger scale too. Possible things to look out for is there are multiple characters that are going to have seizures. So if you are not okay with watching people seize on screen, probably avoid a little bit. We do have people trapped inside a bank vault. So if you've got a thing about claustrophobia, probably don't watch. There is going to be minor character death, which I think is kind of par for the course for this show. And we are going to have extended interactions with police of varying intensities. So, if you're not okay with police, and we're not talking Athena in this episode.
We're talking full interrogation scenes. It's amazing.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Ellen's like, what is happening?
Well, I mean, we've had stuff like that before, but if it's warranting a trigger, then it must be.
Look, I think for those who are listening, we have a document which basically people have collaborated and put together a list of all of the possible traumas and triggers that could happen in an episode to varying degrees. So I'm sure that for some people, watching interrogation scenes with police could be traumatic if you've had past experiences, especially negative experiences with police.
Yeah.
Most of us probably wouldn't consider that triggering, but there are going to be some percentage of the population that's not going to be fun to watch. So it goes on the list, and so I read it out.
That's it. It's always better to overworn than underworn.
Mm-hmm. I err on the side of over-tagging when it comes to shit like this.
That's it. We are always on AO3 where the tags are bountiful, so...
I would much prefer to say, oh yes, there are negative interactions with police, and have people afterwards go, what are you talking about? That was fine, than not mention it and be, flame warred. Like, why didn't you tell me that I was going to be traumatized by this scene with the police?
Yeah.
That's it. We want everyone to be as comfortable as possible watching a very traumatic show.
Yeah. All right. Well, let us know what you thought about the insanity in this episode.
Did you have as much fun as we did?
Yes.
You'll notice we're a lot more awake this week.
Oh, we are awake this week. I don't know how that's happened, but anyway.
It's the Red Bull that I sculled before I started recording. I'm going to be up for hours.
It's the 1 hour nap that I managed to have.
I don't remember what questions we asked in particular about LA residents this week, but if you know the answers to any of those, then you can leave us a comment on this episode's post on thatweewoo.com, or you can leave us a comment in Spotify, or you can send us an email, contact@thatweewoo.com, or you can tweet at us send us a message on social media. We're on lots of different social media platforms. All of them are thatweewoo.com, so...
Our DMs are open.
They are.
Yeah, feel free to scream about season 8 at us on Twitter as well, because Bex and I are up to date and so excited to get there, and we're only in season 2. So if you have things that you can't wait for us to cover, feel free to scream at us in DMs, because we will scream back.
Oh yeah.
The other thing that we probably need to start mentioning in these episodes is that we're up to episode 15. How many more episodes are there to go in this season? Is it 23?
3 more.
Really? There's only 18?
2. Yeah. So 16 and 17? Sorry, 4, because 16 and 17 are a 2-parter.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So at this point we can say, because we're recording in advance, if you have feedback on season 2 that you would like to send us for us to read out in our wrap-up episode, which isn't that far away now, send that in to us. You can email it or any of those other things I mentioned before. Just get that into us and we'll include it in our list of things to talk about in our season 2 wrap-up.
You heard, get that into us, folks. Back to Weewoo Show After Dark.
Get that into... No.
Just make sure that if you are going to be talking about the season finale, maybe mark it in whatever form of contact that you're sending through to us as a spoiler, so that Ellen doesn't accidentally open it and read what is going to happen in it.
Yeah, if you could say in your subject line or whatever that this is feedback for season 2, then I will make sure I don't look at it before I get all the way to the end.
Yes.
Cool.
But yeah, we'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts about Eddie and Maddie's first season.
Yeah. It's so daunting. Like I was just thinking earlier today about thinking about the whole season. Like it's been so long since we started. Like it's been 14 weeks.
Was there bleeding for 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's been weeks and weeks. And now I have to think about which one of these episodes is my favourite. Like what? But yeah, that's going to take a bit of research. I am not going to binge the entire season to work that out, but, you know. Or maybe I will.
Just look at the summaries quickly.
If I quiet a couple of days
or
at work, I'll just
binge
sit there and work my way through the whole thing. Anything else we want to mention before we sign off?
No.
No, I'm keen for a heist.
Hey. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening this week. And we will talk to you next time about episode 15, Ocean's 911. See you then.
Bye.
Bye.
911 is a fictional show, but many of the situations portrayed happen in the real world too. If any of the topics we've discussed in this episode have affected you, please know you're not alone. You can call or text numbers in your country for help. Just Google crisis support in your location to find out the number. If you enjoy our podcast, you can help us out by leaving us a review on Spotify or your preferred listening app, and by sharing our social media posts. Find out more at thatweewooshow.com. My daughter wants to move to a house that has 2 stories for some reason. She's like, she got this idea that having a house that has an upstairs is like the ideal. And
like rich
it's
people.
not.
and I'm just
It's
like,
not.
but it means you have to go upstairs.
Yeah, stairs are
Anyway.
fun for like 30 seconds.
And then I was
Yeah.
like, we just moved here. Like, it's been 2 years now, actually, since we moved into this house. But if I don't have to move again for another, 20 years, that would be fine with me, because I hate moving houses.
Oh, it's the worst thing, and it's literally like one of the most stressful things
Yeah,
in life.
absolutely.
Two-story
this-
houses are fun, but like my kids just did their fire safety unit where firefighters came to their school and sort of taught them how to stop, drop, and roll and things like that.
Oh
And
my
one of
god,
the
like
things
in this episode, we're just living this
Except-
episode out.
Except the firefighters went to the school. They didn't go to a fire station. But one of the things they have to do is they have to write out their fire escape plan, and they've got to draw a map of how they're going to get out.
Right.
And my kids were freaking out because their bedrooms are upstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, out the window.
And they're like, how do we get... Well, they can't, because there's like nowhere for them to go if they go out the window.
Aw.
And so they're sort of freaking out, and I'm like, well, just go back to school and ask the firefighter, how do I
Yeah.
get out if I am upstairs and the fire starts downstairs?
It's fine, you just bang on the window and then move rooms every 30 seconds.
Yeah, apparently that was the answer. And then wait
And
for a
then
firefighter to come
stand up
crawling over
and
the
breathe
roof.
in the smoke.
Wait for a hot firefighter to scale a drain pipe and
Oh
you'll be
my
fine.
god. Yeah, that scene.
If you're in danger, call, in our case, 000, in their case, 911. Which brings us to 5 hours earlier, where... Oh, no, wait. I segued completely wrong then. I thought we were already in the thingy. Okay, hang on. Let me think of a better segue.
No, but do we get told it's 5 hours earlier? I guess we must.
Yes,
Yeah, we
get
we get the title card, and then we get a black screen, and it says 5 hours earlier on the
I
screen.
thought we were already at the fire station, though. And so
No,
I was
we've
like,
gotta
yeah,
get
like you're
through-
told from a young age, like Bobby is right
Oh.
now. And then I was like, then I went down, I was like, oh, no,
That
I
would
missed
have
an
been a
entire
perfect
scene.
segue, but we've got to get through the Buck and Maddie and the Chin.
And Chim and Hen.
I was about to say Chin and Hem, but no, it's Chin and Hen scene.
Okay, hang on, just cut out that entire segue because that was terrifying. That was terrifying. That was terrible.
I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny.
That's going in the blooper reel.
I was so proud of that segue. Go on.
It was a good one.
Go on. As Misha's snoring and twitching. She's so cute.
My cat's not in here tonight, so I don't have the snoring.
Her little feetsies are twitching. She had a big day.
She's probably chasing little sheepies.
Oh, she's dreaming.